Greetings and welcome to the ROIClear podcast. My name is Ray Hightower, and today we are fortunate to have as our guest Mr. Darryl Murphy. Darryl Murphy is a commercial multifamily underwriter and a coach. He's been in the real estate business for a number of years as an owner, as an advisor, as an underwriter. We look forward to digging into Darryl Murphy Sr. and his experience. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Darryl Murphy Sr. Welcome, Darryl.
Thank you for having me, Ray. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's wonderful to see you, man. And one thing I got to say about you, when I first met you, I think it was still during COVID. And the big blessing that comes out of COVID is that used to be that for real estate meetups, we would have to meet in person. But with COVID, you could meet with people all over the world.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
so you happen to be up in New England, in New Jersey. You've owned in New York and New Jersey, and you're all up in New England, and I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, of course. So it's good that we were able to connect. So there's a blessing that came out of that pandemic. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that the word COVID and not get demonetized by YouTube, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. It is what it is, right?
Yeah, all you did was just mention. That's all you said. You didn't say nothing else about it, right?
There we go. There we go.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah.
So we're glad to have you here. To kick things off, why don't we start with an elevator pitch? And for those people who are new to the ROI Clear podcast, Darryl Murphy is on an elevator with someone he wants to influence. So let me ask you, Darryl, what would you say to that person in the course of an elevator ride?
I am a commercial multifamily. Um, I am a commercial multifamily underwriter that also teach others about underwriting and investing in commercial multifamily. I would say
Oh,
that.
focused, focused right in there. And let me ask you this as we dig further into that, what is something, I mean, you coach a lot of students on underwriting and on real estate acquisitions. What is something that you would say that students, whether they're new or experienced, what would you say is something that students get wrong about underwriting or something fundamental that you see that they don't necessarily see?
Think of a lot of times people take underwriting for granted.
Hmm.
They just think it's about putting in numbers. Seriously. Oh yeah, just give me the rent roll T12. And I'm gonna put this number, I just put that number. Hey, look what I got. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
But what they're failing to realize is that T12 is telling you a story. It's
Hmm.
telling you a story from the past, and it's telling you a story, a prediction story for the future. It's not just about where anyone could just throw numbers in. No, that's not what it's about. Do you understand those numbers? Do you know what those numbers mean? What story did that number tell you? See, it's not just underwriting is not just about throwing in numbers. I'm sorry I keep saying that, but underwriting is an art. I like to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Underwriting is an art. And there are so many different ways to underwrite. There's no right and wrong. But I will say this. Well, I'm gonna say you may say there's not a right and wrong, but if that deal is not producing the way it should be, or if that property is going to fall into problems, does it have anything to do with that underwrite? Did you tell the wrong story to your investors? Underwriting just not about throwing numbers in. You need to know, to me, and I'm not telling everyone out there, oh my gosh, now they probably saying, oh, I gotta learn underwriting. No, I'm not saying that, but when I am saying you at least need to know the basic foundation, the basics, so that you could tell Darryl Murphy, so that you could tell Ray Hightower if you come to us and you say, hey, I have this deal. But I could tell you right now, I already know Ray Hightower is going to ask you some questions. Darryl Murphy is going to ask you some questions. Where did you get that number from? Did you check with the market? See, so I know I'm dragging on, but I'm just trying to stress point. That's what I'm trying to do. To stress a point that you need to know at least the basic underwriting and drag on. But
No, no, this is
I
good.
take underwriting very passionately. I truly believe in it and everything. So I love underwriting, and I've been doing it for a long time. I've underwritten on different models and stuff. I've taken different courses, and that's
Mhm.
I want everybody to know. I didn't just pop up and just learn just okay, hey, I'm just going to go fluke underwrite. No, I
Straight
wanted
out of
to.
diapers, straight out with
Right,
diapers to an Excel spreadsheet. There you go.
right. I took courses
Mhm.
on it. I've um read books on it, and I've spoken with other teachers that have their own models about underwriting. So I I wanted to know what I was doing. So if I bring a deal to Ray Hightower, I want Ray Hightower to know. I know Darryl Murphy know what he's doing. Let me just ask him these questions to make sure. But at least I know Ray Hightower say, okay, hey, I'll back you on this deal. I got you. We could do this together. Or nah, maybe next time. That's what I like. Okay.
Let's explore this further because I think it's powerful that when you look at the numbers, not everyone has this gift, but or has this skill. I would say maybe it's partially gift, but it's also a skill because as you said, you spend a lot of time training in this, reading books, taking courses, underwriting a whole lot of deals, talking to a whole lot of people. So, what is it how do I oppose this? How is it that you're looking at the numbers to get them to tell the story for you? Is or and maybe you can share this with us in the form of a story. Tell us a war story of a
Okay.
deal. You're underwriting a deal. You're looking at the numbers. Other people are just plugging numbers in, but Darryl looks at these numbers and he sees a story and a pattern, as you said, about the past of the property and the future performance of the property. So unpack that for
Okay.
us, please.
So I like the question you said. Now tell us the story of that underwrite
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning to end. How did you get those numbers? How did you do that, right? So the story begins like this. Once upon a time, there was a property that was for sale, and the property got listed with a broker. So the broker put the property on the market, and Darryl Murphy, being well at that time a KW broker, and I'm a principal, saw the property that was on sale, that was for sale. He reached out to the broker and said, "Hey, Mr. Broker, my team and I, we're interested in that property. Would you please forward us the rent roll, T12, and the OM?" So the broker forwards the rent roll T12 and the OM to Darryl Murphy. So now Darryl and his team separates those documents. He reads through the OM, but he delves deeply into the T12 and the rent roll. So the first thing Darryl Murphy did was he took the um, he took the rent roll and categorized it. He wanted to see in that rent roll, he wanted to see vacancies. He wanted to see notice to vacants. He wanted to see outstanding balance. He wanted to see how many one bed, one baths, how many two bed, two baths, how many three bed, two baths. He wanted the average for each of those. Then he wanted to see a trend. He wanted to see a trend. If the rents were going up for each of those categories, or were they going down, or were they stagnant? Once that tells him the story, right? Because also he wants to see what was the last rent that was charged for that last person that moved in. So if the average rent this is just an example, everyone. If the average rent is say 550, but we see a trend because Darryl Murphy categorizes each of the unit types and he puts them in numeric order, and then he could see January, or let's say January 2024 to August 2024, he sees a trend in the rents and they're going up. So the last person that moved in was say 750. That tells him, wow, the average rent is 550, but the trend is going up like this, 750. So that means there's a wide spread there. Okay. Now Darryl's going to take that 750 and he's going to put it into his model, but he's also, this is very important, he also wants to see how the market, will the market support that 750? Because just because the landlord is pushing it like this,
Mm-hmm.
did the landlord, excuse me, not landlord, sorry, property manager or
Mm-hmm.
owner, did he go over the market? Because if he went over the market, you may have a problem trying to get 751.
Hmm.
Okay. So Darryl Murphy is going to look at the rent roll, and I don't want to take too much time, but I want to tell you the story. Darryl Murphy is going to look at the rent roll. He's going to categorize that rent roll. He wants to see the trend in those rent rolls. He wants to see what's the outstanding balances in those rent roll. Because if there's an outstanding balances, if those suckers are pretty big, I want to, hey, Mr. Broker, what is being done with these outstanding balances on this rent roll? Okay. So now let's say we we squared away the rent roll. Now let's jump into this T12. What story is this T12 telling me? Everyone, the T12 is telling you the story of how the property manager and the owner ran this property. That's what it's telling you.
So
Can you
what's
run that?
jumping out at you? Like when you're looking at the T12, are you looking at taxes first or property management fees or what are you looking at first? Insurance?
Oh
What?
my goodness. So,
Yeah.
so what I do first, so now Don Murphy takes the T12 and he wants to see a trend in vacancy, because what I'm going to do is put I'm gonna move some space between the gross potential rent and the losses, the vacancy losses. I'm going to put about full space, and one is going to say vacancy rate. It's going to go from, this is just an example. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just say it goes from January to December,
Yeah.
and it's going to show me the trend of that vacancy. This way, I'm going to question if there's a big vacancy. Let's say in July. Okay, so what happened that you had such a big vacancy in July? Or if it's, you know, I'm looking for any abnormalities, something
Mm-hmm.
that's going to like throw out at me. Okay. So
Sure.
then I want to see the economical losses, which is bad debt, concessions, and lease losses and lease. I'm going to look at that. Okay. Now I'm going to look at, uh, uh, um, I want to also see the gross potential rent. Which direction is it going?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it neutral? Okay. And also now I'm looking at that. Let's jump down into other income. I'm gonna tell you, everyone, be very careful. Look for that. Look at that late charge, because if you see a gigantic late charge, that right there, I usually pull that out. I don't leave that into my underwrite
Why is
because
that? Why do you pull that out?
because my property manager, when we take over, our objective on day one, everyone, is to implement a system that will eliminate those late fees from day one. Now, remember, everyone,
Of
what you're
course.
taking,
Yeah.
yeah. So, what you're taking on now, remember, everyone, what you're taking on after when you close on that property, boom, day one, when you close on that property, what you are taking on is the income. You're not taking on the expense because now your new property manager got them new expenses that's going to be take that you're going to be paying.
Mm-hmm.
The other property manager you don't have no more. So your expenses are going to start day one from that new property manager. But that income that's there, that's going to carry right on over to you.
Sure.
You and your property manager now is going to start implementing things. All right, Dal. This the new system is on day one. Okay, we gotta let all these people know this is the new system now. We're using a new system for you to pay your rent. We will not
Mhm.
be accepting any checks. We will not be accepting any money orders. We will not be accepting any cash. Everything is now done electronically over the system, or you go to Western Union, MoneyGram, and you can pay your rent that way.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
our whole objective is to eliminate the late fees. Now, yeah, you're still going to have some late fees. I'm sure somebody's going to be late. Sorry, I'm late
Yeah,
with my
yeah.
rent, blah, blah, blah. But let's just say you have a $24,000 late fee income. I'm telling you right now, you don't have to do what I did. You don't have to do what I do. But I'm gonna tell you right now, reduce that $24,000, bring that sucker down because your objective should be to get rid of it. You
Yeah,
don't need
yeah.
people paying
Yes.
you. Okay.
That's
So
a
now,
brilliant example
yeah,
because bottom line is what you're saying. If you see a huge late fee, there may be a mismanagement problem at the property,
yeah,
either a problem with screening tenants, they're not screening for the right kind of residents, or they have systems in place where they're not making it easy for people to pay rent. Either way, you want to make sure that that late fee is zero. It might to a novice, it might, oh, we want to collect late fees. And in fact, I hear that there are some banks who celebrate late fees. They
yeah.
write their agreements to collect late fees. However, if you're running a legitimate business, you want the kinds of clients and customers and residents who can pay on time because
Time,
that's how you
exactly.
build a sustainable business. If they're paying late, there's a reason why they're
Mhm.
paying late. They may be in trouble in other areas, and that will eventually have a domino
Yes,
effect in your business. So that's what you're saying,
exactly.
it sounds like.
Yeah, and also, Ray, think about this. Um, let's just say you were nonchalant. People started paying late. You didn't enforce it. Ray, that mortgage payment is still due every
Yes.
single month
Yes,
on
it
the same
is.
day of the month.
Yes, it is.
Now, suppose you being nonchalant, and listen, everyone, on a big property that may not hurt you, but on a small property, that sucker will hurt when that debt service comes out, say on the fifth, and you don't have the money to cover that debt service.
Well, it still hurts in a big or lot or small. It's
Yeah,
gonna hurt.
yeah.
Yeah, you want to keep your
So
word
yeah,
with your lenders. Yeah.
so that's the reason why. But now, and I also what I do when I look at my other income rate, I also categorize my other income. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to take I'm going to take the rubs. I'm going to shift the rubs may be somewhere in the in there in the other income, but I take my rubs and I shift and I pull it up top, and then I take late fee, insufficient funds. Those two I put underneath rubs, and then I start looking for other things because excuse me, each T12 is different. So you
Mhm.
have to then and I like to use this word. You have to become a forensic scientist in underwriting because now you
Yeah.
have to look at each line and say, okay, am I going to try to get rid of that or am I going to keep that? There may be
Hmm.
something there like credit, it's called credit builder, right? You may say, I'll keep credit builder. Or you may say, no, we're going to get rid of credit builder. So now you become a forensic underwriting scientist or specialist, excuse me, a forensic underwriting specialist, and you are examining each line item to what you're going to either eliminate or what
Hmm.
you're going to reduce.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, the insufficient funds, that should become a zero. If you implement everything being done through site, app, Western Union, MoneyGram. Sorry, but that insufficient fund should become a zero. You
Sure.
shouldn't have that no more.
Yeah. 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 Ideally, yeah, that's what
Yeah,
happens with good management. That's what happens with good management and thinking ahead. Wow,
yeah,
we really got deep in that, but you know what? One thing I like about that example that you just shared with, insufficient funds or late fees or whatever, that's an example of where You're not just throwing numbers into a spreadsheet, you are applying business judgment into everything you do.
Yeah, yes, yes. I'm gonna tell everyone, listen, some people say, hey, you you just buying a commercial multifamily building. I'm telling you, it's not just a commercial multifamily building. You're buying a business
Mm-hmm.
and you need to run it like a business, operate it like a business. A grocery store, you wouldn't say, well, he's just running it like a grocery store. No, he's running that grocery store like a business. He has to know, he has to know just what we need to know when we run in our business. He needs to know how much income is coming in that grocery store, and he needs to know how much money is going out
Mm-hmm.
of that grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to know if he could pay those cashiers, those managers. You need to know if you could pay the managers. Now, I don't know if you have any cashiers in commercial multifamily, but you know what I'm saying. That's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little
yeah.
humor,
So you're
everybody.
talking about different
But
positions. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but you see what I'm saying, everyone? You still going to have a payroll. You're going to have management fee and you're going to have a payroll. You're paying somebody.
Right.
So, look at this. Look at your apartment building or complex as a business
Right.
and
Right.
run it
Right.
like business.
There it is. Man, we're coming towards the end of our time together. This is going really quick. I want to make sure
Man,
we manage our time, but this is good because you drill down into some things that I think can be applied to other line items in the underwriting and other areas of running that real estate business. I love the way you said that. If you're buying a commercial multifamily property or any type of commercial real estate, you're not just buying the property, you're buying a business that is
yeah,
secured by that property. So I love that.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
As we wrap up, I mean, I've known you for a few years and I've watched you, and clearly you're someone you read a lot, you listen to a lot of podcasts, you're always learning something. What are you reading or listening to right now that you're using to sharpen your brain and sharpen your skills in this industry?
So, thank you very much for asking that question. So right now, everyone, what I am listening to, what I'm reading is, um, I do spend time listening to, man, his name is Ken McElroy.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I do listen to Ken McElroy, and I was listening to the tax professional that Robert Kiyosaki used. I have his books, but I forgot his
Tom
name.
Wheelwright.
Yes, Tom Realright.
Yeah, yes.
Um, I was listening to him this morning. So I try to, first of all, anything, if I hear anything new concerning underwriting, I'm listening. I want to know more.
Yeah. All right.
But
All right.
right, because now I'm trying to see if there's a different perspective. Right. So if anything comes up where, hey, this guy doing underwriting, what he say? Let me see what he's talking about. I want to join and see what he's talking about. So I'm listening to that, but and I'm also reading other books on self improvement, meditation to
Mm-hmm.
sharpen my mind, to keep my mind clear,
Yes.
energy and energy healing and stuff like that too, man. Yeah,
Appreciate that. All right. Ken McElroy, Tom Wheelwright, self improvement. That's where Darryl
yeah.
Murphy Sr. is spending his time. Finally, how can people get in touch with you?
Oh man, the best way to get in touch with me would be on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Look for Darryl Murphy Sr. And Darryl Murphy SR, and put that in. And if you do connect with me, I like to give credit where credit is due. So please, if you connect with me through listening to this podcast, say, "Hey, I heard about you on Ray Hightower's podcast." Okay, please put that in because I like to know where did you hear me from, and let's give credit to Ray. Let's get Ray out there. I believe in oneness, and that's working together and in harmony with one.
Solid. Solid. You're a good man, Darryl Murphy Sr., and it has been a pleasure having you here on the ROI Clear podcast. Thank you for being with us today.
Oh man, thank you for having me. This was fantastic. I wish I could come back, Ray.
We got to make that happen. We got to make that happen. All right.
All right.
And thank you for engaging the ROI Clear podcast. At ROI Clear, we buy multifamily apartment properties, we improve them, and we give people a great place to live. At the same time, we give investors an opportunity to enjoy capital preservation, tax advantages, and a solid return on investment. If you'd like to know more, click the link to roiclear.com down below. We look forward to speaking with you.